Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Entertainment Now podcast. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian.
Like always, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you give us the old thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, do all that YouTube-y kind of stuff. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure you give us a 5-star review because I said so. Damn it!
If you don't give us a 5-star review, we will come and hunt you down and not do a thing.
Ian will lick your feet. That's what he's gonna do.
Ew. Ugh. I'll lick the doorknob on your house.
Oh, that's it. That might be dirtier, Ian.
That's true.
You might be safer licking someone's fucking foot.
I don't like feet. Feet gross me out.
So last week, I know that's why I said that. Okay. So last week we had a topic.
We did.
We never got around to talking about it though.
We did not.
Because I had a big old list of stuff we had wanted to discuss. I still have most of that big long list. So we're going to try to rip through some of these. And then, damn it, we're going to make it to our topic today. Well, one of the things we're going to talk about, I've got on the list, actually takes us into the topic. But so I do want to say that I haven't watched. Have you watched the original Lord of the Rings series lately? Like within the last couple of years?
No.
I watched. I'm trying to remember. I watched the Hobbit series a couple of years back, but it had probably been almost 10 years since I'd watched the full original extended edition of Lord of the Rings.
Right.
So I watched it just recently.
The full 12+ hour version.
Yeah, I watched all 3 movies. Granted, I didn't watch them all in one day.
No, there's no way you really could.
No, and I don't have the time to do it in one day. I mean, some of it I was like watching on my lunch at work, like, but it took me a couple of days, probably at least 4, maybe 5 days to finally get through. Like the first movie I watched all in one night.
Right. Okay.
And then Two Towers and Return of the King I watched like broken up over a couple of days. One thing kind of struck me like pretty early in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the CGI? Granted, I get it. It was what, 2000, 2001 when the movie was released. So
2001 was that when that came out, yeah.
But it was like filmed mostly in 2000. So, beginning part of the 2000s. Mm-hmm. I get it. But the CGI is just not good. Like, and I know it was like revolutionary at the time, but looking at it or watching it in 2023, some of those scenes, like there's a couple of scenes actually while they're, I don't know if you remember the.
No, I remember the movie. I remember the first one probably better than the other ones.
They're in the Mines of Moria in the first movie, and there are some scenes that look downright horrible.
Really?
Like, absolutely horrible. Yeah, there's scenes where they're like running and like
they might as well running.
But they're just running through the mines, right?
Yeah.
And they might as well like fucking painted the backdrop. I mean, it looks that fucking bad. And it was all green screen stuff. But
if it was practical effects, it would have been painting. The backgrounds would have been paintings. It would have been matte paintings. And honestly, there's a lot of times where you see an older film or whatever, where they're using matte paintings, and it sometimes looks better than the CGI.
Yeah, but there's sometimes. and that was like one that really stuck out to me at first in that first movie. But it happened in all 3 movies where there were multiple points in all those movies where I was thinking to myself, I wonder if they could like remake these movies to make them look better.
Well, they could redo the special effects. It wouldn't be hard. It would be expensive, but it wouldn't be hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, some of those, like I said, some of those Mines of Moria scenes were almost unwatchable. They look so bad, and I don't remember it looking that bad.
No, it looked great when it first came out. The thing is,
maybe that's something to, this is the first time I watched it on Blu-ray, maybe, and
some of the imperfections show better.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I don't know. There's a lot of people who complain about modern CGI. So looking bad. And I don't know. I think CGI is just one of those things that it's a necessary evil to accomplish the level of film that we need to do, but it's not perfect. In my opinion, practical effects will always be better, but you're limited on what you can do with practical effects. In many cases where they've used a blending of practical and CG, tends to work better, but even there's limitations to that. So it's kind of like, if you want these big spectacles, if you want to see a movie that's gonna be able to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish, and things that you wouldn't go see the movie if they didn't try to accomplish, then it's kind of, you kind of have to deal with it, because CGA it's still years away from being as good as what we think it should be or what we thought it would.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of CGI in the last few years that look really, really fucking good.
There's sometimes it looks great.
I think there's, it's not, I will say it's not as consistent as it should be.
Right.
Probably a better way to put
it. To me, I think they really just need to utilize it better and try to do practical as, to the absolute limit that you can, and use CGI to fill in the blanks rather than just doing all CGI. Thing is that CGI is cheaper than practical effects, but it shouldn't be, because technically the equipment that they have to use for CG is super expensive. And if you look at a budget, especially on a big action movie and stuff, the CG is a good chunk of the budget. And they used to make these fucking movies back in the day for a tenth of what they make movies now, with full blown practical effects. Hell, I mean, it's a horror movie and it's a gore fest, and gore effects they've been doing gore effects for 50 years or longer. But the new Terrifier movies, the first one was made for like $35,000, and the gore effects in it are just as good as you'd see in a fucking $100 million movie. Actually, no, not, they're better, because $100 million movie, they just use CGI for all the gore effects, and that looks terrible. And even the Star Wars movies, I'll give credit where it's due. Where Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams made good decisions was where they used practical puppets for aliens rather than using CGI like George Lucas did in the prequels. Don't get me wrong, I even think the prequel special effects hold up somewhat. They're flawed, they're not perfect, and it's the same CGs that you're going to see in the Lord of the Rings. But the problem is that George Lucas overused it. He made everything CGI instead of he didn't have any practical effects at all. At least in cases where it's like aliens and stuff. That kind of CG's kind of improved. So look at Thanos. Thanos looks fantastic in Infinity War and Endgame, and he's essentially a completely CGI character. Motion capture CGI.
So and that's come a long way, though. I'll say that Gollum in Lord of the Rings, a lot of the times, I will say in Two Towers, Return of the King, he looked a whole lot better than he did in. Now, granted, he was only in a couple of shots,
right? He was
Fellowship of the Ring, and it was like further away shots, but he didn't. I don't know. He just didn't move correctly, I guess is probably the best way to put it. I don't know. It didn't look it didn't look good. So it got better. It got better in the series, but
so in an area where the only time I've ever really seen CG be better than practical is when they redid Phantom Menace. Some of the special effects they did it for the 3D version that came out, because they were going to do 3D versions of all 6 movies, and they only got through the first one. But the original film, Yoda's a puppet, but he's a terrible looking puppet. Nothing like the one from Empire Strikes Back. One from Empire Strikes Back is a masterpiece of puppetry. The one in the Phantom Menace looks terrible. It literally looks like a sock puppet to me.
Yeah.
So when they did it with the CGI, it looked. Puppet. I mean, seriously, when they did the CGI version to match Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace, and for the 3D effects, I think it looks great. I think it still holds up. I think the CG Yoda still holds up because they had to do a CG Yoda, at least for the fight scenes.
Yeah.
You know, now they have come a long way in puppeteering. Mandalorian season 3, there's scenes where Grogu's flipping around and moving around, and it's still the puppet. They tried not to use as much CGI as possible. They tried to minimize,
which is good.
And you could tell it's a puppet flying around.
Oh, absolutely.
But they couldn't have done that in 1999.
No.
Or 2002 when they had to do CGI, and I still think that holds up.
Yeah.
But it's really just a matter of balance, and Hollywood does not understand balance of any kind.
No, absolutely not.
They stopped caring about balance probably back in the 90s. To be completely honest with you.
So the funny thing is about the Lord of the Rings movies, and it was something I've watched them dozens of times. Those are probably some of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched them a ton over the years, over the last 22 years. I never really noticed it until just within the last several days. I saw somebody post, I don't know, I think it was on Instagram. That's mainly where I watch like reels and stuff like that. Someone posted this, like the fact that there's this theory out there that, and I'm sure you probably heard it before, that Frodo doesn't know who Legolas is. And so
they're in scenes together.
Do you know how many times Legolas directly talks to Frodo in that series, in all 3 fucking movies? 1 time.
Okay.
All he says to Frodo is, "You have my bow." That's it.
Okay.
That's all he ever says to him. So at the end of the series,
Frodo knows who he is. He just doesn't. He's not like buddy with him.
He just doesn't know what his name is. So at the end of Return of the King, everyone likes to joke about the homoerotic scene or whatever. So everyone's in there like jumping on the bed and everything. As people come in the room one by one, Frodo says their name. And then when Legolas walks in the room, Frodo just like gives him a little like weird smile and nods his head. He's the only one that does. The elf guy. Yeah, I know who you are.
Hey guy, I met you once. I don't know who you are.
Yeah, that's it. So I thought that was really kind of funny, and I never really noticed it until someone like started talking about it in the video. And I was like, well, I'm sure it's not intended that way. It's sure as hell what it looks like.
Well, let's be honest. The book, The Fellowship, is much larger than what we see in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know how much larger, but it is larger.
I've never actually read the books, but
me neither. That being said, the Fellowship we get in the film is still quite a big cast. It's still a lot of people.
It is.
And that's the other thing. So yeah, he may only talk to him once. They may only have one scene together, but that first part of the journey with Fellowship, they're together. So just because we don't see it on screen doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't like, hey, I'm Legolas, you're Frodo, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
They're not showing us every second of that journey. And they're together.
I just thought it was really funny that someone put together, because after I saw that reel, I started like looking up other stuff, and someone put it together this like montage, and it said the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy with the conversations between Frodo and Legolas. So it shows like the intro into the movie, and then it has Legolas's one line, and then it shows the end credit scene for Return of the King.
Right.
That was great.
That's funny. That is pretty good.
I just love those movies.
They're still masterpieces, but you could argue like the original Clash of the Titans is iconic, but by today's standards, those old was it the can't remember that guy's name.
Which one? The guy,
The
one I know what you're talking about, that one guy with the face and the eyes, that guy.
No, the guy who did the special effects. Harry Somethinghausen.
The special effects for
Clash of the Titans, the original.
Oh,
he did all like the stop motion animation for movies going all the way back to like the 50s and stuff. But it Clash of the Titans, which came out in 1980, was his last film. Warehausen or I don't know, Munchausen. It's one of those weird Germanic names, but he
Harry, you said his first name was Harry?
I think so.
Harry Hamlin? No, he was in it, but
yeah, he was
I was scrolling through it, but I don't see his name listed anywhere.
We're gonna do our typical audio and now video where we just look at our phones for a minute and a half to look something
up. I will say, if you watch us on YouTube, I don't edit shit on YouTube. Ray Harryhausen.
Yes, that's it. Ray Harryhausen. Okay. His special effects, it's all stop motion, but for some reason it still holds up. There's a certain quality to it. I mean, we know it's claymation stop motion animation, but it still weirdly holds up.
It does.
And that kind of says a lot about practical effects compared to CG. That movie came out 40 some years ago, and I can still say that those special effects still kind of hold up. They're obvious, but they still hold up. Whereas 20 years on, we look at CGI and you're like, ugh, that doesn't look good at all. It says a lot about it. Does, it says a lot. So I'll always be a proponent for practical over CG whenever possible, and to the absolute limit that practical can be done.
So we talk about a lot of this is entertainment now, but we don't talk about as much like music related stuff as we do movies, obviously, because we talk about music enough as it is. But there is some like music stuff going on. The Green Day 30th anniversary box set was just announced. Well, when this video or podcast episode comes out, it'll be like
about a week
after the fact. And I'm surprised that there's so many people like shitting on this box set on social media.
It's one of the better sets that I've seen in terms of deluxe editions.
And in terms of content, I think people are kind of down on it because of the price.
Yeah, it's to me, it's not even because I thought it was 150. You said it's 175. Even at 175, I still think it's kind of worth it. It's still a lot of money, but it's cheaper than a lot of these other fucking sets that are coming out.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it is price wise a lot for a single album box set. It's got 6 LPs in it. You got the iconic Woodstock show. There's another live
we already have.
Correct.
That's the only.
But it's never been available on CD. This will be the first time it's available on CD, and it should be available on streaming also.
Well, I'm going to get it on CD because I am excited to have that on CD.
I've got the both box sets already on pre-order.
Yeah.
So, but you get a lot of other stuff with it. You got like I said, the Woodstock show. You got another live concert that's included in there.
That's 2. Isn't it 3 total live concerts?
No, because you got the regular studio album, you got Woodstock, you got another live album. Maybe they're
double. Well, no, maybe the live album is a double album.
Maybe that's what it is. Then there's a album full of demos, which some of them have never been released, never released songs.
Right.
Also, I think 3 completely new songs. And there's another album I think it's outtakes, like remixes.
Well, there's the outtakes has some songs on it that I'm not familiar with. there's the demos, and then there's cassette demos too.
Yeah, that's what it is. The cassette demos are, I think, have already been released on streaming.
Have they? Okay.
Yeah, those were released the day that it was released, and it's $175. It's 6 LPs, I think, but it looks like it's gonna be a pretty nice box set. I'm really excited for it.
Comes with a poster and some other stuff too,
some stickers and some other stuff. I'll probably take the stickers and put them on I've been decorating my laptop, so I'll probably put the stickers on there. But
I won't do anything with the stickers. I'll leave them in the package.
Well, I'll have 2 of them.
Oh,
so like
I forgot
this Green Day one that came from the Nimrod box set, because I've got the vinyl box set and I've got the CD box set.
Gotcha.
So I'll probably just take them out of the CD box set. I'm not interested in reselling anything like that anyway. So
right, for me, it's just about keeping the package complete.
Yeah, I'll do that with the vinyl box set, but I won't with the CD box set. But
right.
So I'm really interested in that. There's some other stuff too that's coming out. You got Hum, which if you're unfamiliar with Hum, obviously you are, but people that are listening to this or watching this, if you're unfamiliar with Hum, a great alternative rock band from the 2000s. I guess they're shoegaze technically.
Whatever the fuck that means.
From the 1990s. Yeah, it's just because it's just a wall of sound. It's a wall of distortion basically, and shoegaze comes from the fact that when you go to the concerts, and this is not just for Hum, this is for any shoegaze band, but the term came from like I said, you got like this wall of distortion. So guitar players have all these different pedals that they're using. So while they're playing these songs, they're looking down
at the shoes.
No, they're looking down at the pedals to make sure they're pushing the right pedals during the song. But it looks like they're staring down their shoes. That's where the term shoegaze comes from, at least from what I understand of it. So, so they're releasing 4 of their albums. So they got You'd Prefer an Astronaut, which is one of my favorite. I think it's probably the most underrated, or definitely one of the most underrated 90s albums. Just a great one. Their follow-up to that was Downward is Heavenward, so you're getting a repress of that. Electra 2000, which came out before You Prefer an Astronaut, and then Inlet, which came out in 2020, which they hadn't released. I think Downward is Heavenward came out in like 97 or 98, I think. Maybe before that. Maybe it was 96, but it was like late part of the 90s. And then the band broke up. And they got back together and recorded Inlet in 2020, and it's fucking fantastic. It's a great album. But they got all 4 of those coming out on vinyl being reissued. So, of course, that's another one I've got on pre-order. But there's something else that is coming out that I absolutely love. I love this album. It's one of my favorite punk albums of the 90s. But the price of it is fucking horrible. And it's mainly because, I guess I shouldn't say it's mainly because, it's a double album. It's a 25th anniversary release of the self-titled debut album from The Living End, which is a great album.
It is a really good album. Yeah.
The price on it is atrocious at $60
for a single disc.
I think it's a double. It's even worse if it's a single. I don't remember off the top of my head if it's single or double. Regardless, it's $60, which is horrible. But on top of that, you get $30 worth of shipping because it's only coming from Australia. Got to come from Australia. Oh. I paid $90 for this damn album, which is, I already have it, so that's why it took me a good couple of days to finally break down and pre-order it. But it's just, as someone who collects records, like, having $60 to $90 new releases is just a very horrible precedent to have. Who was it? Vinyl Me Please just built a new plant. I think it's out west somewhere here in the US. And they did a pressing of, is it No Code? No, it wasn't No Code. They pressed, maybe it was No Code. I don't know. They're doing a pressing of one of the late 90s Pearl Jam albums. And this is going to be the first time it's ever available as a 2-album release, which it should be because the album is too long to fit on a single album. But that's
Right.
that's the way it's always been available.
Mm-hmm.
But I've refused to buy it because it's $60. If I ever find it cheaper, I will. But it's a Vinyl Me Please exclusive, so it's never going to come down in price. But yeah, it's one of those things where like once you have new releases, you know, that high, I think, is when you're going to really see the end of the vinyl record bubble.
Right. Yeah, because I personally think even $45 is too much for a double, but you know, that's kind of the highest I would consider going for.
And that's kind of the standard price nowadays.
Yeah. I still think that's too high. I think 35 should be the standard, but what do I know?
Yeah, I think like for a single album, it should be
$29.99 for a single, $35.99 for a double. You know, that's or you know, we'll go $37.99. Go half, you know, meet it halfway, but that's it. It shouldn't be more than that.
I saw a really interesting interview. I posted in the Vinyl Den Facebook group a couple weeks back. But it was a record store down in Texas called NTX Vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a guy that does these. He doesn't even have like an actual like brick and mortar store. He has like pop-up stores that he does. He's got like 4 like pop-up stores that he does in like little like strip mall areas. Mm-hmm. So, and because he doesn't have like an actual physical store location, he can't do like RSD or anything like that. So he interviewed. He also has a record label where he does like very small like indie bands from the North Texas area. He's done a couple of different presses, but anyway, he's done a couple of releases. But he interviewed the owner of the record plant that they use for their label. And that guy, it was a really interesting interview. It's almost an hour long where they talk about stuff. But the most interesting part I thought of the interview was when they were talking about price increases. Mm-hmm. And the owner, first off, according to this pressing plants are now caught up. There should be, he said the average wait time to get a release now is like 12 to 16 weeks, which is what it was in before 2020.
Right. And so most of the companies are pre-booking much farther in advance anyway, like while the album's still being recorded. So
yeah,
you know, everything should just be on schedule at this point.
Yeah. So that aspect is kind of gone. So you're not paying, labels aren't paying increased pricing for rush shipments because you're able to get stuff pressed in a reasonable amount of time now. So that price aspect is no longer in play. The other thing is, he said that in 2023, he's charging the same prices for pressing records as he did 5 years ago.
And albums are nowhere near what they were priced 5 years ago.
No. 5 years ago, a single album was going to cost you
about 25,
maybe $28
at the high
for a single album.
There are tons of records I bought 5 years ago that were in the $19.99 to $25.
Yeah, there was a lot. So I got back into buying vinyl in like 2018. Yeah. There was a lot of stuff I bought that was $17 to $20.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's interesting when you see, 100 to 200% price increases on records when there hasn't been, like in 2023, I priced it out several months, the beginning part of the year, I priced it out. It was less than $7 to press a single album.
Right.
It was less than $14 to press a double album. So you mean to tell me that Vinyl Me Please, who owns the plant, is pressing a double album for probably for the amount of pressings that they're doing, probably somewhere in the range of, I would say, $11 to $14. Let's say that. And they're selling that for $60 fucking plus tax and shipping.
Right.
Like that's, you want to talk about price gouging? There's there's no inflation there. That is purely
profit
that an industry is milking from people, and they are going to like they will end physical music.
They're going to destroy their yeah. It's like right now, it's the only way they're making money. I get that, but they're going to destroy that market, and then they're not going to have any way of making money.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there's still a lot of. I just thought about it. The broadsword box set, the vinyl part, is 4 discs, and it's $80, $20 a disc. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So there are still, labels, and that's Warner Brothers. Yeah. That's through Warner Brothers Music, Warner Music.
Yeah.
So they're still, maybe they just don't think Jethro Tull's not going to sell, but they're still going to make money.
If they think they could have sold that for $150, it would be $150.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But they're still going to make money on it.
Yeah.
So why not?
I will say that there are reasonably priced records. I do a Tuesday new release video every week where every week I talk about at least 10 to 14 albums,
right. And
I would say generally half of those I would say are reasonably priced. And when I say reasonably priced, I mean $30 to $35
for a single disc, though.
Yeah,
to me, that's not reasonably priced. I really haven't been buying vinyl. I've been buying CDs.
Yeah,
because they're cheaper.
They are, and I've definitely bought more CDs over the last couple of years. But what I find myself doing is I'm buying it on vinyl and on CD. I just bought the new Post Malone album. I bought 2 copies of it on vinyl, and I just bought the CD also.
So for me, I'm kind of limiting my vinyl buying to just my favorite artists. So like the new Alice Cooper, I'll buy on vinyl. The Tull sets, I'll buy on vinyl. But I bought Metallica's 72 Seasons. I only bought it on CD. Ben Folds' new album, I only bought it on CD. Cat Stevens, only on CD.
Yeah.
So, and those are artists that I want to have on vinyl. I'm just not willing to spend that kind of money, especially right now. I can't really afford it, but it's just so hard to spend that kind of money when and I'm the bread and butter type of person. I would be the type, if I had a little bit more disposable income and the records were more reasonably priced, I would still be buying the CD and the vinyl. I'd be buying them both.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of market they want to hit. So if they're going to do that, they really need to figure out something with their pricing.
The music industry is really great at one thing, and that's
killing their business,
killing the cash cow.
Yeah.
Killing the golden goose.
Yeah.
They did it with CDs.
Yeah.
The music industry, they saw the digital revolution coming, and instead of trying to embrace it and blend the business, they tried to kill it. And all they ended up doing was they killed their business.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do the same thing again. The price of CDs has gone up. I was buying new CDs just a couple of years ago for $10 to $12.
Mm-hmm. Now they're closer to 17, 18.
Closer to $20 now for a new CD.
I've only spent. Actually, I can't even say.
You're buying them on Amazon though. I'm buying them in stores.
Right. Well, there's a couple. There's a few I still bought in stores, but I want to say the last one I bought in the store was $16.99, $17.
Yeah, which is the normal.
Yeah,
that's the normal price now. Which and that's why I said they'll kill vinyl records. They will kill CDs again also.
Yeah, and then they'll complain because they're not making any money on streaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But so yeah, then there's So are you familiar with NPR's Tiny Desk concerts? Apparently they've been doing these for a really fucking long time.
I knew they did. They had like in studio stuff. I don't remember it being called that, but
So they do. It's I guess the one of the heads at NPR. I guess they've done like over 800 of these concerts. A lot of it's been like I scrolled through the list a couple of nights ago when I kind of started. I guess I should say I stumbled across it. I've seen one previously. I know Mac Miller did one, like just before he died, and I think it was the first time I've ever listened to Mac Miller, and I was fucking blown away, like absolutely blown away, because it's just they're literally just sitting at this guy's desk. It's him and then a couple of musicians behind him. Now Mac Miller was a rapper. And so of course you can't do the songs in his traditional way. It's with an actual band. And the songs he did, I was like I said, I was blown away by that. I thought they were better. And I've really grown in appreciation for Mac Miller since, but unfortunately I didn't really discover him until after his death. But I was really impressed by that one. But I thought that was just kind of like a one-off kind of thing. And then over the last couple of months, I've started seeing more and more of these pop up. And a lot of these Tiny Desk concerts, I've never heard of these people before. But
it's usually like indie artists or folk artists or small time like jazz artists.
Yeah,
it's NPR.
I guess there's been a lot of controversy over the years that they focused too much on indie artists. But over the last couple of years, there had been bigger artists. I know Tori Amos did one of them. So they've started having bigger artists do these also. So Post Malone's new album Austin came out a couple of weeks ago, and I think so he's on tour I think he shot one of these tiny desk tiny concerts, whatever it is. I got it written down here. It's tiny desk concerts is what they're called. If you go on YouTube, they've got like literally there's over 800 of these damn things. So he shot one before his album came out, and his new album is very different than anything he's done before. Obviously he's known for, he's always kind of blended some rock stuff in with his rap and with trap beats and things like that. But his new album is very different. He actually, when he recorded his new album, he wrote most of it in like 3 days. Originally it was going to be an all like acoustic guitar album, him and a guitar. And then Andrew Watt got involved, a couple other guys got involved. They started building up these songs into what they would end up being. So when he did this Tiny Desk concert, he only did like 5 songs. That's like 18 minutes long.
Right.
So he probably like 4 songs is all he did. But the songs I think were closer to what the original versions of those songs were originally. So it was interesting to see, because obviously I didn't listen to this till just recently. It was after his album came out, so I'd already listened to his album probably a couple of dozen times already. But it was different. He did a great job with it. I mean, his voice is fucking shot from being on tour, but he even kind of talked about it in the concert. But it was just a really great show.
He also smokes more than I do.
He does smoke a lot,
and that says a lot right there.
He does. So. I watched an interview with him on Call Her Daddy, which is it started out as a Barstool podcast. It was 2 girls that did it, and it was like all they did was like talk about all sorts of different crazy sex stuff. And then there was a big controversy between the 2 of them. The one girl left, and then the remaining girl left Barstool and went to Spotify, did an exclusive deal through Spotify. I don't know if they still do the podcast, but I think it's now like a video only kind of thing they do on Spotify. But anyway, she interviewed Post Malone within the last couple of weeks. And dude, in an hour-long interview, I got head to fucking smoked a pack of cigarettes. He was like, I swear he'd like put one out, and maybe just the way they shot it, but I don't know. It was like he put one out, and then he like 30 seconds later light up another one.
Yeah.
He does smoke a lot.
I don't know much about Post Malone, but I know that. I mean, that says something too.
I also think he's got a little bit of a drinking problem, but
no. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I think a lot of that, at least from the interview I saw, seems to come from a lot of insecurities that he has. He talked about he basically has to get drunk just to get up on stage every night, which is
that's not good.
It's not good when you admit that. But
Post Malone, if you're listening to this, that almost killed Alice Cooper.
Yeah,
that did kill several of Alice Cooper's peers.
Yes,
you might want to rethink that.
Yeah,
talk to Alice; he'll get you through it.
But yeah, it was. If you're watching this and you're unfamiliar with him, definitely check out his Tiny Desk concerts. Like I said, I was really impressed with that, even though his voice was kind of shot at least in the first song he did, it was a little rough, but after that it was pretty damn good. Or go check out the Tiny Desk. Like I said, they've done a bunch of other people on there too. But
yeah, I didn't know that's what I knew. Tori Amos did little live snippets for NPR before, live recordings, but I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah. So, yeah, NPR Tiny Desk concerts. But yeah, it's all like the music news, I guess. I will say that I saw something a couple days ago. This will kind of take us into our topic now that I don't know how long we are into this damn episode. Let me see real quick. We are about 40 minutes in, so we can talk about it real quick.
Okay.
The fact that Indiana Jones and Mission Impossible are both on pace to lose $100 million, which is absolutely fucking insane. Now, granted, they're blaming Mission Impossible on the fact that it was released the same day as the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer.
The buzz around Mission Impossible 7 was huge. I mean, people were talking about this movie like it was like going to be one of the great movies of the year, not just box office, but just it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened with that. It's just when I started hearing it was bombing, I'm like, what? The buzz around this was that it was really good.
Yeah. And the reviews I've seen on it have all said it's a great movie.
Right.
All the people I've seen on social media talking about it say it's a great movie. I think it kind of is an issue. I think the problem that movie is having is the fact that it went up against $2 billion movies, basically. Right. Oppenheimer is the highest grossing movie in movie history not to be number one at the box office.
Wow. But it was number 2, right?
It was number two
to Barbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like everyone was going to see those two movies. So I get I'm surprised. I don't think it's going to lose that kind of money. Box office wise, I think it's already kind of like it's well over its budget box office wise. So I mean, I think eventually it will. But like you said, they put a ton of movie. They put a ton of money in advertising.
Yeah. I gotta say there's posted budget and then there's non-posted budget.
Which is bullshit. It's Hollywood magic. And they do that to screw people out of money is basically what they do. Hollywood does all sorts of bullshit mathematics, but they need to just if the budget is $700 million or whatever it is, say that. Don't say, well, the budget's really only the budget's a third of that, and then you got all this back end stuff that makes it so expensive. Right. Like, just say what the budget is for the fucking movie.
Right. Well, I mean, their numbers, they show it in their numbers, but the problem is that it doesn't translate when you talk to normal people. You say, hey, this movie cost $200 million to make. It made $600 in the theater, but it was a flop.
Yeah.
How is it a flop? It made 3 times its budget. Well, advertising and back end and all that. Well, like you said, just say that. Or stop spending $200 million on your goddamn movies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, you got some movies that are spending as much on advertising as they are on the budgets of the fucking movie.
Right. Indiana Jones.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, I saw about Indiana Jones, a lot of people are blaming what's going on with Indiana Jones with the fact that it went up against Sound of Freedom.
Mm.
And because of the Sound of Freedom, there's been this big Disney backlash, which has been ongoing for some time because of the whole...
And it's completely artificial.
Oh, absolutely artificial. But the backlash started with the whole Black Little Mermaid and things like that. That's where it kind of started. And then the backlash with Sound of Freedom to, Disney bought it and Disney didn't want you to see it, which we talked about before. When we talked
there
about
was
the
a lot of talk about it being woke too, which I didn't get that impression at all.
No, not at all. But
anytime you've got a woman in a position of equal to the male character, apparently that's woke.
Yeah.
So,
but it's. I thought it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was is it the best Indiana Jones movie? No,
it's the third best out of 5. It's the third best.
Yeah,
and that's
I would put The Last Crusade #1, Raiders of the Lost Ark 2, and then
Dial of Destiny
3,
and then Temple of Doom, and then Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would rate them.
I mean, I guess you could argue that Raiders and Last Crusade could swap, but that's just a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
But I think Last Crusade is a better movie.
Overall, yeah. I think Sean Connery has a lot to do with that. But
Indiana Jones is more integral to the plot too.
I will say the relationship. Oh yeah, no shit. I would say the relationship in the movie between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery is what made that movie great.
Yeah, no, that's no argument there. That's that was brilliant casting, really.
Yeah. With Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones didn't need to be in that movie.
No, he's superfluous to the plot.
Because they still would have found the Ark, opened it up in the desert, and they all would have fucking died.
Yep. The only difference is that the Ark now ends up in the hands of the government or whatever, instead of just chilling on that island for someone else to find.
Yes. And do the exact same thing with.
Right.
Because you're going to go, ooh, a big golden chest. I'm going to open this up. Oh, and now my face is melting off.
Right. So, do you think they stop and go, oh no, my face is melting off?
Oh, maybe I shouldn't open the crate. As your face drifts off. I chose poorly.
To quote the Last Crusade.
Yes, that's where I was going with it. What did you think? So Dial of Destiny is what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
The movie and where the franchise goes now, because the
franchise is dead.
Then that's kind of where I was going. We saw it together at the theater, and then when we were leaving, we talked about the possibilities, what they could do. Because there was a possibility of doing a TV show, all these different avenues that they could go down. And then I lost $100 million.
Yeah. So here's the thing. While they were filming Dial of Destiny, all that stuff, Harrison Ford saying, this is my last movie, which it should be, because he is too old.
Yes.
This is my last movie, but he said, Indiana Jones dies with me. He did not want to see anyone else doing it. He says, this is my role. I don't want to see anyone else doing it.
Which he has no control over that.
Right. But Disney was saying, okay, Harrison, patting him on the head. And in the background, they're saying, well, we might do a TV show. We might do, recasts. That kind of thing. There was chatter, and it was getting out into the public.
Yeah.
But they can't make the argument that Indiana Jones has legs without Harrison Ford when the one with Harrison Ford flopped.
Yeah. And this is an instance where Mission Impossible will probably end up making money down the line,
breaking even because they filmed part 1 and part 2 together.
Yes.
So you figure in mixing the budgets or combining the budgets to make it a slightly lower budget. Once the second one comes out, they'll make will be profit.
They'll make money. Yeah. So it will make money.
Yeah.
Dial of Destiny is not going to make money. It is going to be a big fucking loss, because not really because of the budget. It's because of how they fucking advertised this thing.
Yeah.
The advertising budget for this movie was fucking huge.
I think Indy will probably make a small amount of money.
You think so?
Yeah, because the people who like Indiana Jones are still going to buy it. They're going to want to complete their series. They're going to buy. They're going to buy the physical media. If Disney is smart, which they're not because they're getting rid of their physical media industry, but if they're smart, they'll release it, and then in a couple years they'll do a big Indiana Jones box set.
That's what I want.
4K, and then they'll make some more money on it that way. It'll end up over time. It'll make its money back, and it'll make a little bit of a profit. So it's not a huge loss. It's a loss for this fiscal year for sure. But I don't know if you saw the details that came out of Bob Iger's quarterly report.
No.
Most of their losses have been in the streaming side of things, and even that wasn't as bad as they initially thought.
Yeah.
So Disney is not dying. They're not hurting. They're not selling to Apple. They're not selling Lucasfilm to Apple like that's been going around for a long time.
Yeah.
They'd be idiots to sell it.
Well, they wouldn't sell it. If anything, they would sell the company, but I don't see that happening.
Lucasfilm. So Lucasfilm.
No, I'm talking about selling Disney. Like Disney will never sell.
No. Disney will never break itself up. But there was talk that they were going to sell off Lucasfilm because it's been a loss for them.
Because there's been, for at least the last 4 years, there's been a conversation about whether or not Apple would just flat out buy Disney.
Oh, that's the only one I heard about was,
and that's been a rumor as of just within the last couple of weeks. Also, the first time I heard that was at least 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. 4 or 5 years ago, Disney was killing it.
Yeah,
Disney was profit every year, huge numbers. The problem with Disney is that, so I'll never argue against diversity in films, never. But it's how you market it, and Disney has not been good at marketing it.
No.
I would say they didn't do anything wrong with The Little Mermaid necessarily, but because that backlash was going to come regardless. But they have this tendency, and I've talked about it a million times. Show, don't tell. They want to tell. It's virtue signaling, and that is what really kills a lot of these movies.
Diversity, it's diversity for diversity's sake, is what
and
the way it comes off.
Exactly, because they're signaling their virtue by saying, "Hey, we're not going to go with the traditional. We're going to get directors and actors of color." And then people hear that and they say, "Oh my God, Disney's gone woke." Instead, if they just fucking did it, just hire these directors, hire these actors, because 9 times out of 10 they're the right choice for the job anyway. Just hire them and don't talk about it. Just fucking do it. 30 years ago, no one cared about who the director of a fucking movie was. No one could even talk about it unless it was fucking Stanley Kubrick or John Ford. No one gave a shit. It wasn't until like Steven Spielberg and Lucas and all that stuff came around that they really started paying attention.
And I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, it like kicked up about 5 notches.
Right. But even today, I don't know who directed Little Mermaid. Do you?
No.
Without looking it up? No.
To be completely honest, I generally don't give a fuck who directs any movie.
Right. There's sometimes it matters. But we were talking, I think it was off camera, or off show, when we were talking about the Marvels. You said Nia DaCosta's directed the Marvels.
That was in the last episode.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I was excited about the movie. I had no idea who the fuck was directing it.
Yeah. And
I'm one of those people who do care sometimes about who the director is, because I think it makes a difference.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I don't care who's directing a Marvel's movie. I don't care who directs Endgame or Spider-Man. I don't fucking care. It just make it good. I care.
That's all I care about for any movie. But
right. I mean, there's other areas where I'll pay more attention to who the director is. But big budget movies, Disney movies, I don't fucking care.
No.
That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be hiring directors of color, getting more diversity, but just shut up about it. Just do it. Because the racists are going to be racist no matter what.
Well, I think...
Who are you signaling your virtue to? Just people who agree with you. Shut up and just fucking do it.
To kind of counter your argument a little bit, I think in a lot of instances, they do just do it.
Right.
And it's the other side that is the one that makes a big deal about it.
I think in most cases, like with the Little Mermaid, you're probably right. Because that, like I said, that was going to get backlash no matter what. But
yeah,
in other cases, I think it's not that clear cut. I think
because it wasn't like when the Little Mermaid stuff, when the first previews came out, it wasn't like Disney going, "Oh, look, it's a black Little Mermaid." It was all the news channels,
right?
That were
well, that's what I'm saying. Little Mermaid, they didn't really. It wasn't the thing. But and to be honest, Indiana Jones really wasn't either. It was after the movie came out, everyone's like, "Oh, look, they got," because no one ever at Disney or Lucasfilm ever said, "Hey, we've got a new female. We're doing a female Indiana Jones. She's gonna take over for Indiana Jones."
Yeah,
no one ever said that. That was one of the plans. That was an idea they were throwing around.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have liked her to continue on. I wasn't a big fan of the character. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I think we're kind of seeing the character.
Great, who knows?
Well, we were seeing the character in a developmental stage.
That's true.
Who knows what she could have been in the next movie. We're seeing this was her Temple of Doom. We're seeing the Indiana Jones of like fortune and fame. Don't care about any of that other stuff. Whereas the next one would be her redemption of that. I would be okay with it. I don't care. I just want good fucking movies.
Yeah.
That's all I fucking want. I don't give a shit.
I think where the Indiana Jones series went wrong was casting Shia LaBeouf in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Even as much as I dislike the end of that movie, I think had they cast somebody different, a better casting choice would have given them the opportunity to spin that role off.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was kind of a thought back then too for him.
And then he went crazy and kind of squashed all that.
Right. What they really should have done, and this is one of those things that it's like it just probably never crossed anyone's mind, but I would have made that character a girl anyway. I would have given him a daughter.
Oh,
if
really?
I was George Lucas, I would have made the Mutt character a girl back in 2008, and not for any political agenda. I just think it would have made more sense.
Okay.
To me, it would have made more sense. So
I don't know, but I think that was where the series went wrong. I mean,
it could have been, but like you also said, Disney was getting backlash regardless, and they had a lot of it didn't even have anything to do with Indiana Jones, to do with Disney. So that being said, I think go ahead.
I was going to say that you had a movie in Sound of Freedom, which did a lot. Sales wise, it was a huge movie.
Right.
And what certain people behind those movies, or behind that movie, who have been very open about their political views and the way that they view wokeism and Disney and things like that, they promoted that movie as like the anti-Disney movie, and they turned
they promoted it as Disney was the enemy of that movie.
Yes, so they took people that saw that movie that probably would have seen Indiana Jones also, and because of that movie, they refused to, because Disney is the child groomers and the sexual predators and things like that. So I think that did absolutely play a role in hurting the Indiana Jones movie.
It's possible. It is possible. I mean, most of the reviews have been, I'd say, middling to positive. I mean, very few people said it was garbage. The people who said it was garbage are the same people who said it was garbage before it even came out. So
yeah, I will say that Dial of Destiny definitely has mixed reviews.
Yeah.
But as far as like people that I know that have seen it, I can't tell you anyone that said it was a horrible movie.
No.
I've talked to people that said it wasn't great, but I haven't seen anyone said it was, an absolute disaster.
No. Well, like I said, there's people, but they were saying that before like I said, before they were saying that while the movie is still being filmed.
Yeah.
Like, this movie is gonna bomb.
They were saying that when the movie was still being written. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's
unfortunate because
unfortunate.
I think it's a movie that definitely could have done more box office wise. Right. I would have liked to see them spin off and do, even though I wasn't a fan of them doing it initially, I would have liked to see them do some kind of younger Indiana Jones TV show. And
to be fair, I agree, and I don't have a problem with recasting as long as it's done right. Because I've made my views on the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies very clear, but the one thing that he did 100% right was his casting, and that was recasting every fucking character. I mean, he could have gone wrong once, or he could have gone wrong 6 times, but he got it right on all 6 times. If you do that right, it doesn't matter. People can suspend their disbelief on 2 separate actors playing the same character if it's done well.
Yeah.
And sometimes even when it's like the least obvious choice, recasting Dumbledore in the Harry Potter movies, no one cared. It just was seamless. And arguably the recasting was better than their original choice, but that's only because he reinterpreted the character. Yeah. But no one complains because the Dumbledore in the first 2 movies is different than the last 5. Yeah. No one says anything about it. Just whatever, because it was done right. You got a good actor in a role. Just do that. Yeah. Doesn't even have to look like Harrison Ford if you do it right.
I think it would be hard to recast that role.
Yeah,
because it is such a big iconic role. Right. That's why I said I think if they were to do, an Indiana Jones in his 20s, I think it'd be
it'd have to be in his
easier to do
late 20s. Because they kind of already did his early 20s with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. Unfortunately, it's something we'll never see.
No, never say never, because it is it's Disney.
It's highly unlikely. Yeah. I will say that I was surprised I saw something recently about Disney, and that was the confirmation that Donald Glover is writing the
Lando series.
The Lando series
with his brother.
Yep.
Who also co-created Atlanta.
Yeah,
they did that together.
I still haven't watched the new season of Atlanta. I love the first 2 seasons of it though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad to see that is in motion.
Yeah. It's not because the strikes, so no one's writing anything.
Yeah.
But and of course that was announced a month and a half into the strikes. So who knows how accurate that is, even at that standard. But a lot of things. We saw it in 2008 with the writer's strike. There's so many things that were on the books, ready to go, and they died. There were already things that were in production, died.
Yeah.
Things that were, TV shows that were well received, died.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen? Everything. That's why I don't. All of the news coming out of Hollywood about movies and stuff right now, I'm like, who the hell's coming up with this? Yeah. The actors aren't talking about this. How do you know? Even that Gal Gadot thing about Wonder Woman 3, like, she's not talking. She's not allowed as a member of the union to even talk about future projects. Yeah. She's not allowed. So where are they getting this information?
That doesn't necessarily mean that Donald Glover isn't still writing. No. But
and it wasn't him. I don't think who announced that. It was Disney.
It was Disney.
But and they don't give a shit. So
no. The thing that I think what could help the writer strike, and I don't see it happening, is musicians joining the strike.
Well, musicians don't have a union, do they?
No, they don't. But if they were to, in solidarity, stop touring, which it's not going to happen.
No. Musicians, even the popular ones like a Taylor Swift, I could see her maybe doing it, and that would be beneficial for the strikers. But most of those musicians, this could be their last year touring. You know, it's the music industry is way more like uncertain than the movie industry. When the strikes are over, all these big name actors, especially, are going to go back to work. They're going to be fine.
Yeah,
Same
but here's the thing:
the big writers.
But yeah, the
Musicians
big
won't.
actors, the big writers will. Unfortunately, a lot of the smaller ancillary actors and electricians and carpenters and all that stuff, they won't, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know,
well, they will. They're the because they have their own unions too. They're not striking right now.
Yeah.
But you know, as far as you're always going to need electricians on set, you're always going to need carpenters, you're always going to need those things. But you don't always need, you know, B movie actor over here to be, you know, get a chance in a big budget movie. It's just never gonna happen. Whereas musicians, every year is, you know, if you're on tour this year, you're good. You're going to be fine this year. But you don't know if there's going to be a tour next year.
The reason I bring that up is I think it was Snoop Dogg that canceled shows in California in solidarity with the writer strike.
And see, he's a performer who couldn't afford to do that, and he didn't strike his entire tour. He just struck the California side of things.
Yeah.
So yes, that's going to cost him a lot of money, and so it's very respectable for him to do that. But it's not going to affect his livelihood in the grand scheme the way it would, say, Blink even couldn't afford to do that.
Oh fuck yeah, they could.
Could they?
They had one of the biggest selling tours of 2023. So
okay,
I mean,
2023 is fine. But which one of the members had cancer ish health issues?
Mark Hoppus.
Yeah, they could come back next year and they could be done touring forever.
Oh yeah, but they're all, you know, every single one of them has net worths of, you know, $100 million.
But yes, and they're probably going to be fine. My point is, though, they're still young enough where they want to make money, they want to work.
Yeah.
And musicians, I mean, I hope you're not arguing that the music industry is just as sustainable as the movie industry.
No, absolutely not. But what I'm saying though is you have you know, there is a large selection of musicians who also act.
Right. Oh, that right. If they're in the
so they have a vested interest.
True.
In this strike.
Yeah, that's fair. I still don't know why they would want to jeopardize their livelihood in a completely different industry. I mean, I understand why they would want to do it. I would, if I could afford it, I would too. But you know, it's just there's only a handful of them who can truly afford to do that.
I think there's a lot that can. There's a lot that can. But there's very, 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 very few, probably only Snoop Dogg, who is actually willing to do it.
Right.
And that's it's unfortunate because, you know, they're two very different industries, but they're also industries that do go hand in hand.
Somewhat,
a lot of time.
But it wasn't you who said that the writers should just write better at the beginning of the strike?
I was criticizing how shitty writing is in general.
Yeah, it's mostly because of the studios, though. Because if the writers are just writing what they're told to write.
Oh, I know, and we had that conversation, but you know, there has been, and I also talked about when we had that conversation that it could be the sheer volume of movies that are released nowadays through theaters and streaming, that there has been a very steady, steep decline in quality of writing.
I don't think that. I think it's just it's the projects that are being forced out to us too.
That's possible. You know? But anyway, go back to what I was saying though. I think that I would love to see musicians join in solidarity, and because I think that the movie industry is a very powerful industry. The music industry is also a very powerful industry.
Yeah.
But
it's just the music industry is powerful on the studio or the corporation side of it, though. The musicians, I mean, they don't make money if they're not touring. I mean, really, unless Snoop Dogg might be the exception. I mean, his album sales, because he's been around a long time.
I'm not saying cancel your entire tour.
Right. No, yeah. If you can afford to cancel just the California side of things and still be able to, make an earning for yourself, sure.
Unfortunately, the main people that hurts are the music fans.
True. And the small vendors and the But I mean, it's really the only way sometimes you can.
Sometimes it's got to be, short-term loss, long-term gain.
Sometimes. It's always tough when you're dealing with, mega corporations like Disney and Warner Brothers and Paramount.
Yeah.
I mean, they have really, as much as they can bitch about, we're not making any money, so we can't pay you. They seem to always have enough money to buy off politicians and throw their money around to affect things the way they want it.
Yeah. Because really, in the long term, and we're running super long over, but in the long term, the movie industry, the studios have the capital to wait this thing out. Right. They can wait this thing out for years if they have to.
The sad thing is if they just use that capital and paid people the right way, no, this wouldn't even be an issue.
But that's the same thing we talked about the music industry, the way that they are so short-sighted and they'll cull off records and CDs. The movie industry is equally as short-sighted.
Yeah. Well, it's corporate thinking.
Yeah.
Take what you can right now, and who gives a shit what happens down the road? We'll figure it out then.
Yeah, we'll figure it out then. Yeah. But I don't know. Anything else to add?
Support the writers and then actors.
Any questions or comments, you can email us at entnowpod@gmail.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, go see the old thumbs up and all that YouTube kind of stuff. I'm sorry, did I cut you off there, Ian? I thought you were done.
I was done.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just said that was just my last thing. Support the writers and the actors.
All right. Well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the rain.